Hi everyone, sorry we're a few minutes late, just had a few little technical glitches there, but welcome to day 3 of our 5-day self-care summit. Today I am super excited to introduce you to Lena Moxon. She is here today talking all about healthy mindset and so much more. So welcome, Lena. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to get this started.
I know. And so would you like to give a little bit of background about, what you do, where you are and all that?
Yeah, I currently live in Geelong in Victoria. So we were in a place that experienced a quite heavy lockdown last year. And during that time, I took a lot of what I do within my own work online, and I've loved it, and I haven't stopped it since the restrictions have lifted. So I have been within the health and fitness industry for about 15 years. I've owned and operated gyms in Sydney, New Zealand, and now here in Geelong. I also have an education background, and so I combine all of those interests, all of those passions, and it has led me to my purpose, which currently is supporting women in just empowering themselves in understanding that when we set goals for ourselves, I think the traditional goal setting model has set us up to be more disconnected from self. So I think goal setting has led us to believe that we are supposed to become something greater than we already are, that we have to go out and seek to become our best self. My belief is goals are important because we need to know where we are heading and what it is we are trying to achieve. But ultimately what we're trying to do is remember who we are. So everything that I do with women is about empowering them to explore their mindset. And by that, I mean the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions that they take day to day, and to, liberate themselves from the things that aren't actually them, things that they have taken on as part of just, maybe it has been inherited through family, maybe it's been something that society has kind of placed on them, maybe it's the way they've been educated, maybe it's just a limiting belief that they've taken on. And so my work is just to hold space for women to just press pause on all the doing and being and, trying to create, and to just turn inward and just create a brave space to explore what's really going on within you.
Yeah, and I knew, with all the fantastic work you do, Lena, is that you are, the perfect person to come in this self-care summit, because, that's what, I'm working on too, is empowering women to, or anyone to have that self-belief in themselves, and actually to slow down. And there is all this conditioning around us about what we should be doing, but really helping people to understand that it starts with you, and to get some support and some encouragement along the way. And so I'm really excited to hear what you've got to share today, because I know it's going to be instrumental for everyone listening out there in their self-care journey, because we're all had it where we've set things that we want to do, and especially with self-care, and then not done it. And I thought, well, today it would just be great about all that healthy kind of mindset and those sabotaging thoughts, and what tips that you could maybe offer people to help them along with that struggle maybe. So yeah, really excited to find out more.
Let's do it.
I know you've got a little bit of a slideshow or a presentation that you want to do, so we're gonna just allow Lena to share the screen, so bear with me for a moment. And
perfect.
Should that all good?
Yeah, perfect. All right, let me just
something new else today with this technology.
I love it. Let me just make sure I've got the right thing up.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. Is that right?
Yep, we can see your screen. Fantastic.
Beautiful. Okay.
I'll hand it over to you, Lena.
Thank you so much. So today, I guess I'm just starting a conversation. The way that I present and the way that I teach should feel like I'm just sitting on the couch opposite you with a cup of tea or coffee, and I'm just engaging in the type of conversation that I think is actually really important for women to have. And I'm the friend, I guess, that dives deep straight away. I don't have the surface level conversation. I don't do the niceties. I don't do the politeness. I go deep. When I say, how are you? I'm genuinely asking, and I'm genuinely holding space for you to consider an answer, respond, and for me to listen. So today, what I'm going to walk you through, I suppose, is just my perspective in how we can come to understanding who we are, what's important to us, and what's working for us in our lives. And then I'm going to share with you just some very simple questions that you could potentially take on for yourself, just to begin a conversation within yourself. Because I think for so many women, we're so constantly looking and scanning the environment, reading information, listening to people, we forget how much wisdom is actually within us, and that all the answers that we are seeking are actually within us. And as coaches or mentors or teachers, it's our job just to cultivate space and ask you the right questions and redirect you when you're off course. But what we're trying to do is get you back to self. Today, that's what I'm going to encourage you to take on. There's so much that I would love to share, and I know that we have a limit on time. I'm already.
I'm sure you've jam-packed it in. I'm sure you've jam-packed it in.
So let's go. So imagine just for a moment how it would feel if the truth of who you are could be free flowing into every area of your life. Because as women, I know, I have experienced it, and the women that I work with tell me that they feel like they are different people in different contexts. Different as a wife, different as a friend, different as a mother, different in the workplace, different as a sister, different when they are by themselves. It's like we're wearing all these masks, juggling all these different balls, and we get really lost and confused about which version of us is actually the real us. We lose ourselves in all the roles that we take on, all the tasks that we think we have to complete, all the ways we think we have to be. And it can get very overwhelming. And so I offer to you that it is really possible to feel like you are your most authentic, genuine self, and that flows into every area of your life, and that you are consistently yourself in every experience, in every context. Wouldn't that feel like such a relief?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
It is possible. So what we choose to believe is a reflection of what we are thinking. Now, I think so many of us get caught up in trying to find the right answers. We ask questions of each other, and we think that we need to be smart enough, be wise enough, find the right information to come up with the right answers. And we spend a lot of time within our heads. But unfortunately, that's where a lot of our problems are created, within our minds. And so a lot of the work that I do is to teach women and to remind women that we are actually not our thoughts. What you think and what you believe is not necessarily the truth of who you are or an accurate reflection of all there is for you to experience. That's a hard concept for some people to take on and to really understand. And I don't expect you, if you're just watching this today and you haven't worked with me before, to understand what I'm talking about. But I'm just going to plant that seed within your consciousness that we are not our thoughts. There is more to us than what we think. And we can learn to be in loving witnessing of ourselves when we start to learn this. When we realize that what we think influences how we believe, and what we believe dictates what we experience in the world, we actually realize that we are far more powerful than we have ever given ourselves credit for. Now, in order to be a person who feels like the truth of who they are is free flowing into every area of their life, we need to learn to integrate all aspects of ourselves into loving, authentic, and conscious practice. Some of us identify with a certain role that we play in our life because we feel really good about that. Maybe we get affirmed for that or validated for that. Maybe we feel confident in that area. And so we focus on being more of that, but we forget that just because we do a certain thing for work, or just because we are in a certain relationship, or just because we are good at one thing, does not mean that is all of who we are. And there are usually aspects of ourselves that we need to shine a little bit of a light on. We can't ignore, deny, and repress parts of ourselves and expect to feel fulfilled. And so many of us, I think, we put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. And then we wonder why we feel like there's just something missing within us. Or we put all those eggs in one basket and it feels good for a while until it doesn't, until it starts to run dry or bore us, or it becomes monotonous. I think as women, we can all relate. If you've had children, when you become a mum, all of your effort and energy goes into working out what the hell that means and how we do all of those things. And we realize that we have lost parts of ourselves because we have not acknowledged that there are other aspects to us that need to be integrated into the whole kind of feeling of who we are as women.
Absolutely.
I mentioned right at the beginning that I think, I have owned and operated gyms for way too long. It reveals my age. And what I have observed is that in a lot of settings, in a lot of contexts, for a lot of women, goal setting has kind of let us off course. Yeah. So many of the goals that we are setting are to distract or disassociate with certain parts of ourselves. We'll feel something within us that feels unsettled, not quite right. And we think, I'll just set a goal, feel a sense of achievement in some area, and that will fix everything. A lot of the time for women, weight loss is a goal that they turn to when there's an area of their life that they are dissatisfied with. Maybe you're not happy within your relationship or your job or just your relationship with yourself. And we've been taught that if you can just change the number you see on the scale, you can change the way you look on the outside, that should make you feel better about yourself on the inside. And I can see you shaking your head too, Katrina. I know that you know this firsthand as well. It's a piece of the puzzle, and you should take it on for yourself if you want to feel more confident about the way that you look, but it is not the whole puzzle.
I guess, Lena, it's like, being unsettled in one place and moving somewhere thinking it's going to be better. Sometimes it's that looking within, isn't it? So that really looking within to see what those things that are missing.
Absolutely. We try and do all the things, right? Like you can be, I think our homes is a great analogy for that too.
Yeah.
You're living in a house and you rearrange all the furniture. It might look different, but you're still within the same environment.
Yeah.
And nothing has actually changed. Excuse me. So one of the questions that I ask women that is supposed to be confronting and it is supposed to be a little bit confusing is, where can you see yourself 3 years from now? And when I ask that of women, I always see them kind of just have this look of like shock and terror. And it's like I can visualize them in high school in a maths class when they've been called upon to give an answer. And they think, I didn't do the homework. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
This is a question that can stump us. And I say to women, can you answer with clarity for yourself? And it's not, there's no judgment as to whether you can or you cannot answer this question. But what I would like to offer is that for most women, if you struggle to answer this question for yourself in any way, it's most likely because you have learned to identify with what is going on around you. So your initial response is, oh, I don't know. It depends what the kids are doing, whether my parents are still well, what my husband's doing for work. It just depends on, the economic climate. It depends on X, Y, Z. And we look outwards and we think, well, it would depend on all of these things before we even consider what is it that I would want for myself. Yeah. We don't do that. And I like to highlight that. I like to highlight that it has become a habit, a way of being, a way of thinking, that we look externally for the answers rather than realizing that there is so much within us that would love the opportunity to come forward and have a say, right? Yeah. We look outside to define ourselves, and we look outside to define our future. It's something worth really acknowledging deeply for yourself and not just shrugging off and going, yeah, I know that. Thinking about what are the consequences of that. Who we are is determined by the decisions that we make internally. Some of us have not been raised to think like that. Some of us have been raised to think that who we are is a reflection of our family or our religion or our community, that we are the sum of all things. I like to remind women that who you are and what you think and what you believe and what you decide for yourself is created and maintained internally.
Yeah.
We have that power. We forget sometimes. Who you decide to be in any given moment is completely up to you. And so the question becomes, who are you choosing to be?
Yeah, pretty powerful question, Lena. And I know for some, you know, it's a real like you know, asking questions to yourself is quite, you know, confronting, very confronting, I'm sure for some, but so powerful by asking the question.
It's a question that most people would rather turn away from and distract themselves from, or set a goal to be able to answer that question. So when I say, who are you choosing to be? Sometimes people will say, oh, I'm choosing to be ambitious. I'm going for this promotion. I'm creating this business. I'm choosing to be healthy. I'm signing up with this gym. I'm doing this diet. No, no, no. Who are you choosing to be? Not what are you choosing to do? There is a distinction between two ways of thinking and being, and it's slight, but it makes a huge difference. And this is the kind of question that you shouldn't be able to just answer straight away. And usually if you can answer it straight away, it's just your conditioned response. It's what you think you are supposed to say. And so I feel like it's just worth mentioning to women that you are worthy of taking the time and the energy to actually sit with these powerful questions and learn how to, first of all, unlayer all the bullshit beliefs that you have taken on because they've kept you safe, or they've been appropriate, or they've given you the love and affirmation that you have craved, and actually learn how to access and activate the truth within you. Now, I know for so many women listening, it sounds like I'm just blah, blah, blah talking woo right now, because they've actually never been taught how to access and activate it, or that they are worthy of connecting with their own wisdom. This is like a radical concept to a lot of us. It really
absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you've talked about, you know, like even within the fitness industry, obviously I've been in the fitness industry a long time as well. And, you know, I can really see that conditioning of where that goes, and it's just what we learn, and, you know, like the goal setting and that. So this is a great concept for, you're really challenging people to be aware and, you know, hear something new that's really going to, you know, make the difference of when they do want to take something on, to maintain it because they're really doing it for themselves.
Absolutely. Who we are has nothing to do with what we do externally. And that's why you can see a lot of supposed successful people that are just miserable. When we lift the veil on a lot of successful people doing all the things, making all the money, going to all the places. I know, because I was that person for a really long time, right? When we try and define and validate ourselves by the external, usually we've neglected the internal for so long that we are just disconnected and lost. And you can see a lot of like traditionally unsuccessful people, what society would call unsuccessful, who are just thrilled and living in the light of fulfillment every day, right? Our identity, who we are as women, as people, is just the collection of thoughts you have about yourself and your life. And that is what determines who you are in the world. So it's not what you have, it's not what you do, it's what you think about those things that makes all the difference. So often, a lot of the women that I work with, when they have set big goals for themselves, when we drill down to why they are setting that goal, it always comes back to wanting to feel a certain way. And when I can teach women that you can actually feel that way here and now today, just by excavating the thoughts that don't serve you and training yourself to empower yourself with, you know, more supportive thoughts. Start cultivating better beliefs, and you can actually access that feeling without changing anything in your life. It's kind of groundbreaking for women, because I think we've been led to believe that in order to feel a certain way, we have to earn it. And that is not true. It's just not. It's just not.
Yeah, and that's just such a refreshing thing to even hear, isn't it? Because it just it allows us to now, in this moment, to actually have a shift, that it's not about that external, it's about looking at the internal, cleaning out the cobwebs, or being aware of how we are participating, or how what we are choosing, or our thoughts, recognizing thoughts, and that real level of inquiry.
It's really important. I think I'm so passionate about teaching it because, you know, from 18 years old, I had very clear goals and systems and strategies for myself. And I was very successful in my ability to set a goal and to follow through and to just level up and to level up. And, you know, I was married at a young age and we had goals for ourselves and our future. And, you know, they were powerful and we did it. And I'm actually really proud of all that my ex-husband and I were able to achieve in our 20s. We worked really, really hard. Unfortunately, though, we didn't understand that just creating businesses and building wealth and having things was not going to be enough to sustain us as individuals and would actually be to the detriment of a healthy relationship. We learned how to build businesses. We didn't learn how to be in relationship, as an example. So, you know, all of that crumbled for me when I was about 29 years old because I just couldn't sustain the momentum of what I had created while feeling so unfulfilled. It was depressing, to say the very least. And so, I mean, that's a different story for another day. But basically, my story tells a tale of somebody who built it all, stood on top of it, and realized they didn't even like the view that they could see from there. I didn't even want it. I looked around and thought, like, how did this become my life? I never consciously chose this for myself. I set the goals, I achieved the things, but I had never considered how it was going to make me feel and how I would feel about myself as the person living that life. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a highly ambitious person, go for it if that feels really good for you. For me, ultimately, it didn't feel good for me. I had not set up my life to feel the way that I wanted to. And so it imploded in a real way. And I know,
and so, you know, that I suppose, you know, we're all individuals, and what we obviously want is all quite different. So that's where that level of sitting down and taking time to get clear, or have that clarity, like you know, right back at the beginning, is, you know, in 3 years' time, where do you see yourself?
absolutely.
Starting the process.
And the next thing I like to add to that is sometimes women get intimidated by that question because they think, I don't know what I want to achieve, or maybe you're just not ambitious in that way. And there's sometimes a level of like shame around not having clear goals for yourself, right? If we go online, it would seem like every woman and their cat has a clear vision for what they are supposed to be creating from their lounge room at the moment, you know, and some of us, we just don't have that clarity for anything that we want to create. Maybe we don't have the time, the resources, the energy, or the desire. And that's okay. What I will offer, and what I think is actually more important, is committing to who you want to know yourself as.
Right.
At 29 years old, I had lost everything. I chose not to go to court to fight my ex-husband for the businesses that we had. I just wanted it to be done. So in doing that, effectively, I walked away from everything that I had created and found myself virtually, I don't like to say broke because I did have a property to my name, so I was far from broke, but it was a giant fall from what I had to what I was left with.
Yeah.
Did not know how I was going to rebuild my future. I didn't even know what I wanted it to look like. All I knew is I didn't want what I had.
Yeah.
And so all that I could do at that time was commit to who I wanted to know myself as, and really spend some time in exploring what that could be, what that could look like, not what I could create, not what I could contribute, but who I would know myself as. And I think as women, we go through so many progressions in our lives, and we're just stepping into the next iteration of ourselves, trying to find out who we are and making sure that we are doing it the right way. It starts when we're teenagers, right? We want to look the right way. We want to say the right things. We want to go to the right places. Then we want to have, you know, the relationship, the career, the family, whatever it is. We're just trying to get to that next stage and see if we can fit into the molds that have been set for us. And we unconsciously kind of step into it and feel good, I suppose, if we are reflecting what society tells us is right. But, you know, there's a big segment of us, I think, that steps into it, and we know that it doesn't feel right for us. But because when we look around, everyone's smiling and nodding at us, we just continue the show until we can't anymore. And so I just like to put it out there that you get to decide what you are going to experience in your life, in your day, in your reality, simply by deciding who you are going to be.
Yeah. Wow. It's just so powerful. And to, even stepping back sometimes, and actually, when you're in close and all that's going on, is having that ability to step back to see how you are participating as well in your life. Because sometimes we can't see it while we're in it.
No, we can't.
Yeah.
And these questions, I know, I'm well aware, they can be very irritating. If you're listening to this and it's rubbing you the wrong way and you're thinking like whatever, and you feel compelled to just like log off from this, I'm speaking directly to you. Listen, listen. When we are irritated, that is a very big sign that what we are hearing is actually resonating and we're uncomfortable with the truth of what we are hearing. It's powerful, right?
Yeah.
And so I like to just share like my own evolution. It's only been 5 years that I've really been consciously, actively choosing my thoughts and how it makes me feel and how that presents in the world. It has resulted in me knowing that who I am is not determined by my relationship status, my weight, my job, how much money I make, or where I live, right? I have taken on for myself that I will always find myself being a leader in demonstrating what is possible.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what I've taken on for myself. And the way that that shows up in different aspects of my life, in different contexts, is powerful.
Yeah.
I go first in a lot of things. When COVID hit last year, I knew, I anchored into, no, I'm a leader. I'm going to show what's possible. We're going to find solutions to this for the businesses that I have. I stepped up and into that. It kind of frames my thinking, my feeling, and my choices. When you have that, it helps you in your decision-making abilities as well. And I'm not saying that anybody else should take on the feeling of being a leader. That's not the right answer necessarily. The right answer is what feels right for you.
For you. Yeah, absolutely. And if we bring it into like, people and their self-care, because I find, a lot of people are trying to do the right things, and, there is no right or wrong when it comes to looking after yourself. So, setting these goals, or like people are saying they, want to get up earlier in the morning, but they don't maintain it in that. This is a really good opportunity to maybe get really clear on looking internally, so that then you can really discover what it is that you need or who you choose to be.
And it's just a small shift in the languaging that we use that I think makes all the difference. When you can articulate and describe who you choose to know yourself as, in a statement such as, I'll always find myself being a leader and demonstrating what is possible, it helps you to understand what you are experiencing and to continue to choose what you have chosen. So for me, as an example, because I am taking leadership on as a quality that I embody, a leader has to go first. A leader has to step into the uncertain. A leader has to be uncomfortable. So anytime that I find myself feeling nervous, feeling insecure, having doubt, having resistance, because I have chosen to know myself as a leader, I affirm that for myself. And I say, yes, girl, of course you feel that way. You're going first. That's okay. That's okay. And that's the support and encouragement I need. And I choose that for myself. If I did not want to be a leader in this life, if I was choosing something else for myself, if I felt uncomfortable, insecure, unstable, I would know maybe that this is the wrong path that I'm on. Somebody else might have very different feedback from those feelings. So knowing who you are and knowing what you are choosing for yourself helps you kind of filter, I guess, what your intuition, what your body, what your soul is saying to you in any given moment.
So, with people choosing that when it comes to their day-to-day self-care, that can be really powerful, because it's about, I talk about, daily self-care, about nurturing self every day. But I know that people fall off the wagon, so to speak, and, they want to do it, but yet they don't follow through with it. But being really clear and starting to, choose and taking that responsibility, do you feel that could be a real point of difference?
I feel that it helps us to make better decisions for ourselves. I think a lot of the struggle that we have when we try and build new habits for ourselves is we just replicate what we have done before.
Yeah.
We try and reinstate something that we have tried in the past. And if it's not worked for us before, if it's not resonated deeply enough for us to feel compelled to continue it, it's not right for us.
Right.
So there's a part of us that has to understand that who we have led ourselves to believe that we are is not making the best choices for us. So potentially we need to make a better choice for ourselves in who we want to know ourselves as, who we believe we truly are when we access what's at the base of our being, define that, and then put our choices through the filter of that person. Let that, I hesitate to say higher self because I never want it to be that it's a better version of you, right?
Yeah.
But it's the version that is more tapped in and tuned into your own internal wisdom, makes the choices for you rather than just the pre-existing conditioned version of you that will just access what's readily available, what you already know, what you've already done. We kind of want to release that for ourselves and take on things that we haven't done before.
And, you know, to be able to do that, it is about slowing down and listening and tuning in and asking the questions, because, you know, everyone gets so, you know, busy, but it is actually making that choice to take the time for yourself to be able to tap into that.
You know, one of the things that I like to share openly is that, you know, I do see myself as a leader, and all of the work that I do is quite, you know, extroverted, and I share a lot of energy with a lot of people. But my practices, my daily self-care rituals actually look very different to what most people would imagine I'm doing. Most people would imagine I'm jumping up and down and trying to generate this big energy and shouting affirmations at myself. It looks nothing like that. Because I have to come and deliver so much energy, my self-care practices actually nurture. Yes, it's kind, it's soft, it's slow. It holds space for me to just kind of like, I feel myself melting into that safe space and allowing myself just to be held. And so I think it's really important for women to understand making a clear decision about who you want to be in the world actually informs your self-care practices as well. And
and I can really see how that would balance, you know, for you. There's that real balance, isn't there? That energy, but there's that slowing down as well. So that 100%. Real clear understanding of what your body needs to deliver 100%. And be.
Yeah. 100%. And that's sometimes why we need a coach like yourself, Katrina, to help us in understanding how to cultivate and create these daily rituals that are actually going to support and serve us. Because that's not just something that we know. You can't buy that from a shop. You can't just outsource that. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, in thinking that they can just buy a program and replicate what has worked for somebody else. And it just doesn't. It can't. You are so unique. You are so incredible in your individuality, but you need to offer yourself the time and the respect to really honor what it is that you need.
And because, you know, you're so worth it. We, you know, have all these, you know, doubts and conditioning around what we should be doing, but we're so worth it. We're so worth the time to spend on ourselves. I say every minute we take spending on ourselves is so worth it, because that is the point of difference. The point of difference that's going to make a difference or make a change for you to have that clarity on what direction you're going, and, you know, who you truly are.
I think for a lot of women too, what we don't give ourselves permission to do is take a lot of time before we make choices for ourselves. If we feel the need or the desire to generate change in our life, often we're compelled to go, right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it all. You know, I looked around my house yesterday as an example, and there's just too much stuff. I just feel like, I don't know, every now and then I'm like, why do we have so many clothes? Why is there so much laundry? Why is there? And there was this like urge in me to be like, right, I'm going to get a skip bin and I'm going to throw most of what I have out. I know if I do that, I'm going to regret that in time, because everything that I have bought, I have actually bought with a clear intention, right? But just in the moment that I feel like it's too much, my compulsion is to just like get rid of it all. That's been a repeated pattern in my life. When something doesn't feel right, it's like just escape, find an escape route, avoid, deny, do all of that. What we actually need to do for ourselves is give ourselves permission to just slow down before we make decisions for ourselves, even when it comes to self-care, to participate in conversations like this and feel into things and really make strong considerations for what would actually be the thing that feels really good for me. Not just what looks good or sounds good. What is it that would feel really good for me?
So, Lena, for people to be able to really like just simplify that is actually maybe you're saying sitting down and just asking that question, who am I?
I love that you have asked me this, because what I have now, and I know that, you know, we've already gone over time, so I'm going to fly through this.
Yep.
But I'll provide it to you maybe as slides, and we can share it if anybody wants to come back.
Yeah, cool.
There's just a series of like, I'm a person that I really love journaling, and I really love inquiry questions, and some of the things that I offer the women that work with me are quite deep. But today I'm going to offer up something that is very accessible to anybody, because I think sometimes if we push you too far too soon, it's just overwhelming and you just think like, I don't have time for this. I don't know how to do this. So what I'm going to offer today is just a series of questions that would walk you through an exploration of self, and perhaps shine a light on things that you hadn't considered or you have been avoiding. And that will give you kind of some road signs, I guess, to show you where your work needs to take place.
Fantastic.
Because yeah, often our daily rituals need to support the parts of ourselves that are wounded or have been untended. Remember what I said, we don't want to just continue to amplify the parts of ourselves that we feel like most strongly about or most connected to. We need to be able to integrate all aspects of ourselves. So in my opinion, our daily rituals should be supporting and calling forward the parts of ourselves that we've repressed and denied for far too long.
I love that. That's really good.
I'll walk you through a series of questions. So basically it's like different categories, and we're going to ask the same question of ourselves. And I think this works best. Either you could have a conversation with a mentor or a coach about these things, or you could sit with yourself and probably just write the answers. Like a stream of consciousness, I would just allow yourself to just record whatever comes forward within you. And with all journaling practices, what I encourage women to do is to continue writing even after they think they've written everything they had to say, right?
When you think you got nothing, just keep writing.
That follow through, right? It's that truth that is repressed, that needs the time to kind of like edge its way up and find the courage to make its way onto the page. And that takes time and that takes practice for sure. So the first thing that I would say to consider is your relationship with self. And now all of these areas you can define in a way that best suits you. So relationship with self is going to be different for every single woman. So whatever that means for you today is completely appropriate. And then you just record what's working, what needs work, and what you desire. I love the word desire. What your heart, when I talk about, you know, being connected to your heart center or alignment, people kind of, you know, these are buzzwords that get overused and are often just misunderstood. When we talk about desires, that feels like, I feel like when we use the word desire, it just like activates something within you. So we're recording what's working, what needs work, and what you desire. Relationship with self. The same for our relationships. And so you can take this on, whether that means friendship, relationships you have within your community, romantic, whatever it means for you. What's working, what needs work, what you desire. Family life, same questions. It's not rocket science, but it is powerful when you give yourself the space and actually require yourself to produce an answer. Spirituality, whatever that means for you. What's working, what needs work, and what you desire. And if you come to an area and you're like, oh God, I have nothing to say about this, I've been neglecting or ignoring this area, there you go. That's a good sign for you, right? Right? This could be an area that maybe I need to turn and get curious about and explore. Maybe it's a part of me that has been missing that I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Finances, what's working, what needs work, and what you desire. This is a big one. This is one that I always infuse into spiritual work, because we live in a world that, you know, revolves around finances. To pretend that our relationship with money and finances doesn't show up in our everyday being, in our thoughts and our feelings, I think is naive. So I think it's worth exploring that. Your career, your work in the world, I like to call it that. Doesn't have to be a traditional job. Whatever your work in the world is, what's working, what needs work, and what you desire. And then the next thing, and I'll fly through this because I know that we've already gone well over time.
That's all right.
Okay, good.
Information.
Once you have explored those areas, and that can take some time, and I would what I said before, give yourself permission to just hold enough time to really feel like you have been expressed, received, and heard by yourself. If you can't come up with an answer in that moment, don't give up on yourself. Put it in your consciousness, allow it to be there for a few days and see what comes up. I don't know what goes on within showers for me, but I always just have these like breakthrough thoughts within the shower.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And so just, don't give up on yourself. Allow yourself to take as long as it takes to feel satisfied that you've actually felt and expressed all that you need to in kind of exploring those areas for yourself. And what we're doing there is seeing what areas of our life we really need to focus some more time, energy, and attention to. Not about judging yourself. It's just doing an honest audit that I think, we should all be doing. I actually personally sit down and do it quarterly for myself. It's something that I do quarterly, and it informs for me my sense of self, my daily practices, and the goals that I'm setting. It's simple. It's really simple to work through, but it can be really powerful. And so then you need to take on for yourself as well readiness to change. And I know, Katrina, within the fitness industry, this is something that we talk about all the time when people are setting goals for themselves, because you can have the best intentions. But it's, a different conversation when we talk about what is your actual readiness to change, because the hard part is taking action. We can all talk about what we would like, what we can see, the vision we have, how we want to feel, but what we are actually not just ready to do, but capable of doing is the more powerful conversation. I believe that making sustainable, long-lasting change to your behavior, the things that you actually do in service of living your best life, which means you are in complete alignment with who you have chosen to know yourself as, is the work. Getting all of those pieces of the puzzle to come together, it's hard. You feel like you get one thing in place and you're like, oh shit, I forgot about that. Oh God, I forgot about this. No, I think it's our life's work. I don't think that we're ever just going to get to, a period of time that we go, yes, everything is perfect as it is. I'm done. Perfect human. I don't think that's
it's a continuous journey, and to know that it changes. It's so changeable, isn't it? So it is going to always be, you're never going to know it all or get it all in one place,
right? And so there's another exercise that I'll run us through really quickly, but it's just designed to prepare you for change, because I think for so many women, they have false starts and they judge themselves so harshly for setting an intention, saying out loud that they're going to do something, and then stumbling and not following through. Okay. And we want to know that we are a person that will do the things that we say we do. Having integrity within ourselves is so healing and so powerful, and is actually what is missing for women that lack confidence, right? That integrity piece is so important. And part of the problem is the excuses and the justifications we have for why we have intentions for ourselves and don't follow through are often so reasonable. Yes, the kids are so exhausting. Yes, we're so busy. Yes, life is so demanding. Yeah, absolutely. If you offer an excuse or a justification, it's reasonable. We can accept it. And 9 times out of 10, that's what stuffs us up, because we judge ourselves, but then we present this excuse or justification that's reasonable. And so we let ourselves off the hook. But there is that part of us that is disappointed and let down. Right?
Absolutely. And I know that when it comes to, people wanting to engage into more self-care practices, that, they have these wants, and then they, like get too busy or don't do it. And there is that real sense of letting themselves down. So we all do or have done it.
And so one of the things that you can work through at all times with a coach, usually, because sometimes we need an outsider's perspective to kind of bring the radical honesty we need to
absolutely
who we are, is where
keep us honest.
Where you are in these 5 stages of change. There's pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. And see, most people think that they should be able to just jump straight into action, completely neglecting or maybe not understanding that there are 3 other stages that you need to actively work through before you're actually ready to be a person that will take consistent action. And then after action, there's another stage after that, maintenance, which I would be prepared to say is just as hard as getting to the action stage, is learning how to be a person that is within the maintenance stage.
Yeah.
And learning how to be comfortable with the contentment that comes with maintenance, that doesn't offer you the same kind of adrenaline rush as taking action does. That's a conversation that I like to have too, Katrina, because I think sometimes when we start something new for ourselves, it creates a sense of like pride and excitement within us. And we feel like, look at me doing this thing, experiencing ourselves in a new way. And when we move to maintenance, that can make us feel maybe that we are being complacent or boring, same. And sometimes women misunderstand that and feel like there should be something more for them. And their thoughts are kind of anchored into, I should be feeling excited, I should be feeling super motivated, I should be feeling whatever. And it's retraining yourself to really understand, appreciate, and have gratitude for what it feels like to have created and cultivated things in your life that you can just maintain. That we don't always have to be onto the next best thing.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And, you know, bringing that even to self-care practices is, you know, just doing something that you can maintain over a long time, and knowing that that's a, you know, that long game, it's a lifetime thing, is it doesn't have to mean it has to get more or bigger. It's all about that maintenance of just, you know, that consistency, isn't it?
That's right. Or that it has to be impressive, or that it has to be a trend, or that it has to be Instagram worthy, you know, it really doesn't. And so I would encourage you to select one area of your life that you explored before when we went through those questions of what's working, what's not working, what do you desire. Hold that in your mind and ask yourself what is required to make those desires your reality. What would you actually have to do? And usually what we can do is, if we take a certain area of our life that we want to see change in, that we have desires for, and we can map out what it is we have to do, that will help inform what we need to do in terms of self-care.
Right. Yeah.
So what self-care practices would I have to cultivate and activate in order to do the thing to manifest the desire that I have? Does that make sense? So I believe that your self-care practices should be contributing to your ability to be the person that can do the thing that can activate the desire. And that's how we manifest the life that we want for ourselves. And that's why our self-care practices are so important. For me, it's not just about offering an opportunity for relaxation or detachment or to de-stress. I actually have a completely different perspective. I believe our self-care practices are supporting us in being the person that we need to be to do the thing to activate the desires. It's like fundamental. It is a non-negotiable.
And that's just so powerful. And, you know, hopefully people out there listening to that and coming from a bit of a different angle and understanding, it is not just about doing the self-care practice. It's actually going deeper and having a deeper understanding and clarity of, you know, what you need and where you're coming from, which then, if you are clear on that, actually the self-care practices become a lot more doable, easy, and it's just part of your day.
100%. And the thing is, the hard conversation that I'm never too shy to have with people is, if you are approaching self-care as a way to take respite or refuge from your life, it is your life that you need to change. It's not a self-care practice that you need to cultivate.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
No self-care practice in the world is going to alleviate you from the feeling that you aren't fulfilled by your life. It's just not. There ain't a bubble bath you can take that is going to fix that for yourself, you know. But truly, your self-care practices should be, I believe, empowering and activating who you choose to be, so that you can go out into the world fully expressed. It's not about giving you an opportunity to contract and be less. It should be empowering you to be more.
Yeah. Well, that's just a fantastic, you know, so much information there, Lena, and it's really so informative. And I know that there's, you know, so much there that people can go back and watch this and really encourage them to go through that process and those questions and take the time and take on board everything that you've said, because it is a real point of difference, I think, is from what, you know, even I can really relate to doing some of those things, how empowering it is to actually delve a bit deeper.
I think, yeah, to give yourself permission to create ritual around who you are. I love the word ritual because I just believe it allows us to connect with the sacred parts of ourselves that we are allowed to hold as sacred. We are allowed that. We are worthy of that. You are allowed to treat yourself as special and sacred and unique and honor yourself daily. You are allowed that for yourself.
Absolutely. So Lena, have you got anything up and coming, or anything that you would like to offer everyone out there with the work that you do? Because I know that, you know, like you said, this could be quite confronting for people. Some people might go, oh, how do I do that? And I know that, you know, you work on obviously online as well, even though you're over in Australia. How can people connect with you?
All of my work is online at the moment, so I can connect with people anywhere, and I love to. Excuse me. I'm currently wrapping up a program at the moment. I'm going to be launching new programs soon. So the best thing that you can do is probably connect with me on Instagram. All of my good stuff is on Instagram. I'm on there a lot, sharing everything. So you'll find me at Lena_Moxon. But if you jump over to connectwithlena.com, I have a full masterclass that you can have instant access to for free. It is really powerful. It walks you through some specific exercises that are going to help you just to connect with self a little more closely, and to understand, I guess, what parts of you would like to amplify. If you're a little lost within yourself, or just a little disconnected, or, you know, I remember once I had my son, I knew I was a different person. I was changed forever once I became a mum, but I didn't quite know what that meant for me and what I enjoyed anymore, what I wanted to do with myself anymore. This is an exercise that gives you the tools to kind of turn inward and reconnect with yourself in the moment that you are in. So if that sounds good to you, and it should, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know, Lena, you're so giving off your information, you're so giving off your knowledge and your experiences, and I know that anyone listening is going to take, you know, something out of what you've said today, and be able to, you know, help them towards their self-care journey, you know, their individual self-care journey. So yeah, I really appreciate your time coming on today. You've just given, you know, so much information, so much generosity in your knowledge, because I know behind all that you know, your work that you do is to empower women, and I can certainly see through everything you've done today, it's really going to help so many people, and so many of people on my group. So yeah, truly grateful for you coming on and sharing all that.
Thank you so much. I love any opportunity to just jam on this stuff, Katrina. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to wind it up there, and obviously this is all recorded, so you know it gives you plenty of time to go back. But if you do want to get in contact with Lena, all her details are on the screen, but I'll also put that on my Facebook page as well. And tomorrow we have got Teresa Dixon coming on, talking all about movement and connection with body. She's intrinsic performance, and she works a lot with biomechanics of the body. So she's going to be coming having a chat with us for our day 4. So I'm going to leave it there. Again, thanks, Lena. Lovely to see you. And we hopefully will see you again and do some more chats in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.